تمام الحمد لله. اوكي. So قلنا انه راح نعيد المحاضرة الفاتت. We will review, then we'll continue with the limbs development. Okay. So I really have a problem with my laptop today, so we need to be patient somehow. Okay. Okay, so the embryological source for the skeletal systems that include the paraxial and lateral plate mesoderm, which are both of them are layers of mesoderm, okay? And they will form the bones of pelvic and shoulder, girdles, limbs, and sternum. While the ectoderm that include the neural cells forms the head region, and they will differentiate into the mesenchyme, and this mesenchyme will participate in the formation of the bones of the skull and face. Yeah, I really have a problem. Okay, so look at here. We said that the paraxial mesoderm, intermediate mesoderm, and lateral plate mesoderm, they are all of them layers of mesoderms that they differentiate actually from the mesoderm itself. So the paraxial mesoderm will also differentiate into somatomeres, okay, and somites, while the somites will differentiate in sclerotome and dermomyotome, and they all have their own functions to form different parts in the skeletal system. We said also that it's important to know that the process that happens in order to form the skeletal system is the ossification, and the ossification has two types, which is intramembranous ossification and endochondral ossification. So intramembranous ossification, actually, ossification means a bone formation. Okay, so in the case of the intramembranous ossification, is the bone formation that happens whenever the mesenchyme will directly differentiate into the bone, like what, like the flat bones of the skull. While the endochondral ossification, the bones will form, first of all, I mean the mesenchymal cells will first of all form the cartilaginous model. Okay, and this will be ossified to form the bone itself, like the long bones of the limbs. Okay, so in the skull, we will divide it to neurocranium and viscerocranium. Well, it's actually divided. The neurocranium will form the protective case around the brain, while viscerocranium will form the skeleton of the face. So the viscerocranium will, viscerocranium will for this, the neurocranium will have the membranous neurocranium that will form as a result of intramembranous ossification. As we said that because the flat bone in the skull will form from the intramembranous ossification that derive from neural cells of the ectoderm, and also the paraxial mesoderm cells. This will encircle the brain and form the flat bones of the skull. Okay. And the viscerocranium, membranous viscerocranium, will have dorsal portion and ventral portion. So the dorsal portion will give rise to the maxilla, zygomatic bones, squamous temporal bones, and vomer with the palatine bones. Okay, while the ventral portion will contain the nucleus cartilage that will form the mandible. Okay, regarding the newborn skull, and we said there is a difference between the adult and newborn skull. That is, at the birth time, the flat bones will be separated from each other by a narrow connective tissue or seams of connective tissue. We call these areas or connective tissue as sutures. Okay, while at the point where more than two bones, two flat bones, meet, the sutures will be wider, and we call this area as fontanelles. The sutures and fontanelles, they have functions for sure, and these functions including at the time of the birth and after the birth. So at the time of the birth, these bones will overlap during the birth, and it facilitates the process itself, okay, and help the labor. While after the birth also, it can help the brain, or it's help the brain to grow without any barriers, okay? So it helps the growth. Look at here, we have sutures and fontanelles. Okay, so the fontanelle we have right here, anterior one and posterior one, and we have frontal suture, coronal suture with the occipital sutures. Okay, vertebral column, we said that it originates from sclerotomal cells, while the ribs also they will originate from sclerotomal cells that came from what? From mesoderm. Okay. Regarding the sternum, they originate from parietal layer of the lateral plate mesoderm, okay? And their chondrification occurs while, the sternal bars migrate medially, okay? So we will continue today with the limb formation. And for the next lecture, if we stay continuing, we will have the malformation. Okay, so the appendicular skeleton development, the limbs for swelling, begins to form, or begins the bud to form the buds, or to show the buds at the fourth week, or at the end of the fourth week of the pregnancy, or let's say at the beginning of the second month, and the limb buds become visible as outpacketing, okay, or pocketing from the what? From the ventral part of the trunk, let's say, of the body of the wall itself. So whenever we see the buds showing itself in the picture, we can also, or we can usually say that the fetus is in the second month, or let's say it started to its fifth week. Okay, so the buds will consist of a core of mesenchymal cells, and these mesenchymal cells, they derive from somatic layer of the lateral plate mesoderm. Okay, and these will be covered with a layer of ectoderm. Again, consist of core of mesenchyme cells. Okay, and these mesenchymal cells are derived from somatic layer of lateral plate mesoderm, and these also will be covered by layers of ectoderm. So the ectoderm form, the layer that is covering the mesoderm, so it's the ectoderm. In the border of the limbs, it will form an apical area. We call it apical ectodermal ridge. Okay, with an outer layer at a point it looks like a nipple-like structure. We call it apical ectodermal ridge. Apical ectodermal ridge. These structures, this apical parts, they have the ability to induce the an inductive influence on the core of mesenchymal cells. They will remain undifferentiated, okay, undifferentiated, but they rapidly proliferate, okay. And the region, this is well known as the progress zone. Okay, so we will say generally that these apical ectodermal regions, they induce elongation and they will form limb buds. They saw that this region, if they cut it, the elongation will stop and the formation also will stop. Okay, whenever this found, so they saw that the elongation and the formation of the limb buds will continue. So by the sixth gestational week, by the mid of the second month, they will see that they saw that the distal part of this the buds, I mean, they will be flattened to form hand plates and foot plates. Okay, hand plates and foot plates. Okay, so they will be, look at here, they will be I mean, these buds will be flattened to form hand plates and foot plates. Okay, and constriction at the elbow and the shoulder will form in order to demark the arm and forearm, okay, or let's say the elbow and shoulder. And the segmental death will occur in the 6th week also, after the formation of these flattened structures. They are called hand plates and foot plates. Okay, they will there will be a place for apoptosis, or we call it death of segmental death. Okay, in where in this apical ectodermal region, and they will result in the formation of the digits in the hands and foot. Okay, in the hands and foot. So generally, the forelimbs buds appear earlier than hand limbs, so they will be a different time of duration, so which is slightly somehow. So the forelimbs form before the hind limb, as we can say. Okay, and similar change that happened in the forelimb will happen in the hind limbs. Okay, at the 6th week, the mesenchyme of the limb buds form a hyaline cartilage. This is a model of cartilaginous part of this of the limb, and I mean of the long bones, which will be ossified in this 12th week of the gestation. Okay, during the ossification, the primary ossification centers form a structure, we call it diaphysis, okay, of the shaft of the bone. Okay, so primary ossification center will form diaphysis of the shaft of the bones. Okay, it will cover the shaft of the bones. But at the birth, the secondary ossification centers appear at end sides of this shaft, and they will form a structure. It's called epiphysis. Okay, epiphysis. Between the epiphysis and diaphysis, a plate will form. We call it epiphyseal plate. And this epiphyseal plate is responsible of the growth and elongate the limbs of the bones. So it forms as a cartilaginous plate between the epiphysis and diaphysis, and it will continue the growth, continue the ossification process or forming bone process. How? Since it will elongate the bone, the limbs of the bones. Okay, it will add by ossification process some bones cells to the both ends and form or lead to the growth of the bone. Okay, so any question? Any question, everyone? فتح حضوركم طلاب. صوتي قطع، ما سمعتك. جربي مرة ثانية، لازم يفتح يعني، أو جزء. خليني أشوف إذا meeting attendance سجلت حضور فماكو مشكلة. Okay, so let's review and ask you some questions since we finished early. Okay. No, doctor. Okay, so let's review somehow and to see what is unclear for you. So first of all, I'll ask you, what's the origin of the skeletal system? What's the embryological source for the skeletal system? جروب A اللي هو اللي بيها سارة patient جروب A صح؟ طلاب تسمعوني لا؟ اوكي.
نسمعك دكتور
So
نسمعك.
راح أسأل جروب خلينا نشوف كم واحد يتذكر شيء. اوكي من اللي شرحته. So first of all tell me what's the embryological source for the skeletal system? What's the origin of the skeletal system?
Ectoderm and the Mesoderm. And the Mesoderm, I mean the
Please
paraxium
raise
and the
your
lateral
hand.
plate of the
Raise your
Mesoderm.
hand and answer. Raise your hand and answer. رفعوا ايدكم وجاوبوا. طلاب رفعوا ايدكم وجاوبوا. ما اريد هيك عشوائي لانه الكل دا يحكي سوا فما دا
عيد
اسمع
السؤال
كل شيء ما دا
دكتورة.
افهم. فاول شيء جروب A خليه يجاوبوني من عنده. تمام. السؤال هو what's the origin of this skeletal system? Which layers form the skeletal system? Okay, I really have a problem today with my laptop. Okay. Sana. Yes, Sana.
دكتورة ميزوديرم and ectoderm.
Mesoderm and ectoderm generally. So who can tell me in detail? Thank you, Sana. Generally, mesoderm and ectoderm as, let's say, as they are their grandfather. So who can tell me what is the origin of the mesoderm and ectoderm? I mean the skeletal system in detail. Let us see group B. Let us see group B. Yes, who can tell me? Group B, what's the origin of the skeletal system? Yes, Adil. جروب A وياي انتو؟
نعم دكتورة.
نعم دكتورة موجودين.
جروب A ما ادري ايش صار وياكم. Okay, anyways, let's
دكتورة صار.
continue. راح الصوت طلعني شو اسمه الميتينج. Okay, نجي على limbs development. When limbs start to form.
دكتورة ماكو صورة.
limbs start to form. شنو صورة؟ present شو تبدون. اوكي جاوبوني ما يحتاج صورة يحتاج من اللي شرحته
Can
أنا.
I answer?
Yes, please.
In the 5th week of the embryonic development.
Okay, we say it start to form the buds in the 4th week of development, and in some other sources or resource references they say it's in the 5th week of development. Thank you very much. Okay, who can tell me what is? Yes, it's the 4th week. It's the yes. Continue. Exactly. 8th week? No, look. And not in the 8th week. In the it's actually in the 5th week. We can see the buds. Okay, we can see the buds. but these buds are tiny. Let's say they are starting to form. Okay, but whenever they are clear, it's in the 8th week. In the 8th week, they are clear. Okay, so whenever we see these buds clearly, we can say this is the two-month embryo, or less 2-month fetus. Yeah. Yes, exactly. Okay, thank you. Who can tell me what is the embryological source, or from what it consists of these buds? Welcome. Anyone can answer. Okay, because ماذا أقدر أنتقل بين الرooms، خلينا نقول الميتينجز. So please tell me, just can I answer, then answer. So who can tell me what is the embryological source for these buds? شنو هو اللي ينشئ هذه البادز؟ Yes, please. Who can answer? شنو هو منشأ البادز؟ من ايش يتكون؟ يا ليراتي اللي يتكونها من خلال فهمكم.
Doctor, they consist of mesenchymal
Yes.
cells.
Someone is talking. What's your name, please?
Ahang. I said they are derived from the mesenchymal cells.
I don't know who was talking.
Ahang.
Again, Ahang. Yes, Ahang. Yes, Ahang. Please tell me, what's the origin of these buds?
They consist of the mesenchymal cells, which are derived from the somatic layer of the lateral plate.
Lateral plate. And also they are covered by what?
Covered by a layer of ectoderm.
Excellent, excellent. So they're covered by a layer of ectoderm. So we can say that the origin is generally ectoderm and mesoderm. So mesoderm, somatic layer of lateral plate mesoderm, and also ectoderm. So this ectoderm will form a structure. We call it apical ectodermal ridge. Okay. I really have a problem today, so sorry. Okay, can everyone see the slides? تشوفون السلايدات؟
You can see them in group A.
ماكو سلايدات.
Okay, group A can see it. Group B
No,
ماكو؟
we can't see it in the
No.
group A.
اوكي اليوم كلش فد مرة الوضع، بس سمعوني حتى نكمل. اوكي سو قلنا احنا اكو الectodermal form a region we call it apical ectodermal region. Apical ectodermal region have a function which is elongation and the formation of the limb buds. Okay, this will induce the elongation and the formation of the limb buds. So who can repeat the function of apical ectodermal ridge? You can answer. Anyone can answer, okay? Without raising hand, please answer. Yes, it will form, but it will induce.
It ensures the proper
Okay.
development of a limb.
Yes, it's another way to answer. It induces the elongation and formation of the limbs. Yes, exactly. So, in the 6th week of gestational week, look, first of all, the hand plates and foot plates will form, and there will be a constriction at the elbow and shoulder. Then will be the segmental death. I mean, an apoptosis happen in the apical ectodermal region, and this will result the formation of the digits, means that the toes and fingers, I mean. And there will be a 4 limb buds that will appear before the hind limbs. Means that the 4 limbs forms before the hind limbs. And there will in the 6 month, 6 week also, the mesenchyme of the limbs bud will form the hyaline cartilage, and this cartilage of the long bones will be ossified in the 12th week of gestation. Okay, regarding the ossification, there will be a primary ossification centers that will form diaphysis, okay, of the shaft of the bones. But at the birth, the secondary ossification will form the centers will form sides of the shafts of the bone that we call it epiphysis, and between the epiphysis and diaphysis there is a cartilaginous plate, we call it epiphyseal plate, that will that its growth will elongate the limbs bones. Okay, so this is all for today. If someone has a question, please ask. I have a problem with the internet, that's why we cannot do some questions and answer duration. Yes. Yes. All the lectures are included in the exam. Yes. All of them are included. Okay. All the lectures. Yes, in the practical, but in the in the theoretical exam, the skeletal system, these 2 lectures will not be included. Okay. Congenital malformation. Congenital malformation. That is included. Look, we have طلاب. سأجيكم one by one. But let me answer Muhammad. Muhammad, all of them are included. Okay. All the lectures for the practical exam is included. From lecture 1 till 10, and 10 is included. Okay. Is it clear? Is it clear? Yes. Okay. طلاب بعد ما نبدأ السؤال. من اللي كان يسأل؟ أي. يعني هو الامتحان عملي عادة حضوري هو نص ساعة، أحيانا نسويها 25 دقيقة، فالإلكتروني أعتقد نفس الشيء راح يصير. أوكي، إذا خلوها يعني بيدي أنا أسويها نص ساعة إن شاء الله. أوكي، أقرأ أوريجينز، يعني أقل شيء في 10 أسئلة أجيب أوريجين. أوكي، ركز على الأوريجينات.
دكتور ليش كم سؤال راح تجيبين؟
ما أعرف والله صراحة، النظري إذا راح يستمر لا. أوكي، كم سؤال راح أجيب؟ بعدني ما مخلي الأسئلة، فما أعرف كم سؤال راح أخليه، بس مو قليلة.
عادي دكتور،
any other
حاضرين
question؟
أسئلة كثير بس الوقت لازم كثير.
يعني راح يكفيكم إن شاء الله، بس ما يكفي تغشون. ما يكفي تلحقون تغشون.
لا دكتور، وش حرام، احنا نريد على مود نفكر شوي من نقرأ نراجع شيء.
وين الطلاب كلكم تحشون سوية، كل الجروبات تحشون سوية. سمعت إنه كم محاضرة داخلة، كل المحاضرات داخلة بالنسبة للعملي، وبالنسبة للنظري هاي المحاضرتين الأخيرة نقول skeletal system ما داخلة. واضح؟ حتى congenital malformation، حتى التشوهات الخلقية. أوكي؟ ما أعرف حاليا، ما محدد يعني، بس هو عادة نص ساعة، عادة نص ساعة وأقل أحيانا. الله بيكم، هو الكتروني، ما تقول لي شو اسوي لكم، اكو اسهل منه.
دكتور 10 ملازم نص ساعة، وين اللي حي شو نسوي؟
يعني حتى ما اقدر اجيب لكم شيء شرح، ولا اقدر اكتب شيء. تلحقون كل زين، بس ما تلحقون انه تدوروها بجوجل. الله كريم، امتحنوا ونحلها إن شاء الله إذا فصل شيء. أوكي. أوكي طلاب، اللي ما عنده سؤال ممكن يطلع من الجروب. هذا هو خلصنا محاضرة اليوم إن شاء الله.
دكتورة